Yo, Ben, Josh. So rapport building, the importance of it. I wanted to discuss that with you guys and how I think rapport building is so important to a lot of things. What's your thoughts?
So to what specific
Well,
area?
Building
Building
within
business,
business,
customer base?
yeah. So sort of business to business sales and building
Ah,
rapport.
well, when it comes to business, when it comes to business straight to customer, like you can't. It's how you create. It's essential. It is just as essential, right? You can't do business without active engagement.
Yeah.
And your active engagement is based on building rapport.
Yeah.
How do you build it? I think again, so we've touched on this topic before. I think an actual key principle of it is your ability to listen, and again that active listening. So you're not going into the conversation with just what you want to sell. You're going in with what you want to hear back. I think if I even take that outside of this on like a personal side, when it happened before, I remember I had a conversation with somebody. I went back to Ipswich, my hometown, for Christmas before, and I hadn't seen him for ages. I was a school friend, and I was talking to him, and we must have spoke for about an hour and a half, right? And he got to the end of the conversation, and I know this has happened when I've said it to people, when I've had these conversations before, but it was the first time somebody actually said, that's like the best conversation I've had in like, I can't remember how long. And I smiled to myself because I thought to myself, do you know what, I didn't say anything. I didn't say anything in there. All I did was, I asked him questions, open questions, not yes and no ones, open questions that allowed him to talk. So he was a mechanic, and I asked him questions, how's work going? And he was like, yeah. And then I would ask him about a particular role on it. And all I did is, literally, I was asking a question for 10 seconds to allow him to speak for 10 minutes.
But that's the thing, is what I found is people like to talk about themselves.
Straight up. And more than they want to talk about you.
That's it. and they like to talk, especially if you're talking about a particular subject that they love, and you ask them an open question, they'll talk and they'll talk and they'll talk.
Yeah.
And that's what it's about.
Most times people don't ask questions. Most times people just want to talk about themselves today. So when you do to say to someone, what did you do today? Why do you find it interesting? Then I'll be like, he actually
taking an interest
in what I'm saying. People don't actually ask questions anymore. People just go, well, my day was really good. I went out and I did this, and then they'll end the conversation. But if you actually then prompt people and ask questions, they find, well, he's actually interested and he actually listened to what I'm saying. He actually wants to know where I've been, what holiday I've been to. And then.
Well, on that though, have you ever noticed so I do this naturally, but it's funny when you see the response. So when you've got like around you and you go into shops and you've got the cashiers behind the desk, cashier will always say, how are you doing today? It's part of their script, right? Have you ever seen how surprised their face is when you say, I'm good, thanks, how are you?
Yeah.
Like, and it's something so small to me, but you'll notice when you've got that in a shop where you go back and back, even all it takes is you to go back 2 or 3 times and know your face, and instantly you've built up a good rapport with them. I don't really know them from Adam at this point, I might get to know their names and the rest of it, but they naturally have all the customers that come in, they know you, they talk to you when you go in there, because you've taken that little piece of effort to say, it's not just about me, it's about you too. And again, it's those minor little things, all of those, so that listening, that actively taking that additional step to engage with somebody is essential, because it completely changes their perception of you.
Well, that's it. You need to do that, because especially when you're going into a business meeting, you've never met that person before, you're going to maybe pitch something. They're going to make a judgment on you in the first 5 seconds or something.
First impressions are massive,
and they're going to make that. So that report then becomes very important, because you may need to change what they thought about you. You may need to change that.
So do you know what though? When you're going into there's always value in doing your homework. So when it comes to a business scenario, especially when it comes to a sales pitch, take the time out to think about, to do some research on that customer or that business that you're going to. So that you can go in and you can understand, as soon as you're going in there, you can find a middle ground of shared interests between you. So you go in with that already. So you go in, right, I've actually taken the time. Not only have you gone into the business, but you maybe have found a guy or maybe a person you're trying to sell to on LinkedIn, and he might reference that he likes a particular kind of sport that you're into as well. And you might find that common ground. And it's all readily available information, right? So it doesn't say, this person's a stalker. It says, this person's done their research. It's the same as if you're going for a job interview. Companies want to know that you've done the research on where you're going to work before you go there. So it's there's complete value in doing your homework and your research for me, and then finding that middle ground. If you can find that middle ground, that allows you to ask the right question.
Okay.
That allows them to I want to talk about this.
Then I'll say that also like we talk about offline building rapport, but building up rapport online. What you can do is you've seen like with all the big companies. From Facebook to MySpace to Twitter, the person that creates their own account. So with MySpace, it was quite famous. The guy that created MySpace had his own account, and he had loads of friends from there. And then with Twitter, the guy that created Twitter, he had his own account, and that allows people to build rapport, and then allows you, as someone that's delivering a service, to hear people firsthand or what people want and what people want from the business that you have. Also, that helps you build. They trust you because they know that you're using the service yourself, and they'll be like, well, he uses it, he understands what we want from it, and he listens to what we're saying. So he's building that rapport with the client offline.
Well, that's important that you've mentioned that, because that's probably something that I was also thinking about, is how do you build rapport offline? Because I'm very good one-to-one.
Yeah.
Building that rapport with someone one-to-one, but offline I'm probably thinking
it's taking the time to sit down and look through the comments on YouTube. It's taking the time to even reply to the comments on YouTube, replying to the comments on replying to your tweets that people are tweeting you, replying to your Facebook messages or Facebook on the wall, people used to post on the walls. It's taking the time, it's going through them. Not you have to sift through the large number of people, but then it's just taking the time. But people feel really empowered when you actually reply to them. Like if you messaged up Mark Zuckerberg, I know he hasn't at the time now, but when Facebook was first starting off and he responded back to you, you feel like, wow, he actually is using his own service and he's taking the time to like build that rapport with me.
Well, I think the thing is, the problem is nowadays, so it can be exploited though, so you have to be, alongside of that, there's a balance, you have to be authentic. So, because the thing is, there's so many tools nowadays, and you get it on Twitter, anything that you subscribe to, you get the tools which will do an auto response back, right? Unfortunately, for some people nowadays, the tools just have to be designed in a way that it says sent by, because the person doing the software wants to advertise their software, right? There's nothing worse. So you get it on Twitter a lot, right? You'll follow somebody, and it will give you a thank you message, and all it's got is the standard stuff in there, like you get with the emails. The variable is the first name, so saying I'll follow somebody, hey Ben, really think you've done this, sent by so and so. Now there's no value in that response to me because you didn't take the time out to make that response. I would see a lot more value if, for instance, I followed you and it took you 2 days to come back to me because you were running your business on time, but you actually said something that was authentic to me. So again, and that's offline and online. It's about being authentic. Don't when you're trying to connect with somebody, don't fake a common ground because you'll get caught out at some point.
One guy at the petrol station, he tried that. He went to me. He goes to me, "Have you recently changed your car?" I was like, "No." I had this car for a year. He was like, "No, you recently changed it." I said, "Mate, I've never seen you before in my life."
You know what? And you get those people sometimes that try too hard, and they're just not answering the right. They're not asking the right question.
But the thing is, if you take the time, usually you can find a common ground. But like I said, don't fake it. All right, so I'm not going to go in and say, so you know me, I'm an Arsenal supporter, right? I'm not going to walk into a meeting and say, this person's a Tottenham fan. I'm not going to walk in there and say, I heard Tottenham had a good result of the weekend, and that's a fake common ground, right? That's not shared. So and that's just an example. But
football itself, though, that probably would work.
But you could use football, but I'm using that as a specific example. I wouldn't go in and find something and say, I can exploit that. I would go in and find something where actually I can go to him. It's something I know he's interested, or he or she is interested in, and they can talk back. And the thing is, at the start of it, there's complete value in if you go into a business sales meeting, spending 45 minutes just working on getting to know that person,
100%.
And then 15 minutes on actually selling your pitch. Because even if you run out of time, they've actually enjoyed the time with you so much that they'll actually be interested in inviting you back. As opposed to the flip side round, you do the pitch, you haven't warmed them up to it, you haven't tried to build that rapport, you're basically going in, not even cold, you're going in super cold. Like, you're frozen at this point in time. And if they don't like the business idea, they'll cut you off quick time.
You've hit the nail on the head there, because I've been in situations where I should have X amount of time allocated to a meeting, and then I've been like, for whatever reason, I've only got this, and I'm thinking I need to think on the spot now. I need to change my approach. And then I would focus on the rapport building. Because I'm like, definitely. if you like me, then you'll come back. And then I can pitch to you later on. Let's find that. Let me find out a little bit more about you, and that's what it is.
Well, it goes back to our discussion before on maximising value, right? It's just a form of that, and the way that you maximise value that you're given to a person is not just in the information you give them back. It's the way you treat them, the way you make them feel in an interaction. I think as long as you can focus on that, then the rapport will start to build. As long as you take the effort out to actively listen to them, to be interested in them, then the rapport will build, because it's exactly that. People love to talk about themselves. Open up give them the stage and let them do it, and they will love you for it.
So that's probably one of the key a key to building rapport is really just ask open questions, ask about them, actively listen as well,
and be authentic, right? It's not difficult. People make it out like it's harder than it is, and the thing is, when you break these things down, it's so simplistic. Listening is so simplistic. Being yourself is so simplistic.
Well, that's why this is good,
because people want to talk about themselves. So simplistic.
Hopefully someone who's watching this, maybe who does struggle with rapport, can maybe just bring it back to basics, how easy it is. Because some people don't have the confidence to maybe ask the question. Maybe that's the wrong way to put it.
I'll tell you what, it's a really good. So go out, if you're having struggles with it, go out and buy Dale Carnegie's How to Influence, How to Make Friends and Influence People. And the funny thing is don't worry about what people are going to think of you when it's in the office, because all people see is the influence piece, not the friends.
I read it on the train, and people were looking at how to make friends, and I'm like, so this guy hasn't got any friends. I was like, no.
But it tells you the importance of listening and handing over to other people, and I'm telling you, it will completely change the game of how you...
Rapport building, we're talking about business, but rapport building happens when you go on a date. Making friends.
Yeah. One of the best dates a girl told me she's ever had is when she... This was like 10 years ago. This girl, we went on a date and she spent our whole day talking about herself. And all I did was prompt her. At the end of the date, she said to me, "This is the best date I ever had." And I was like, I haven't actually said anything, but she was happy anyway. So I was like, okay, maybe she's like the sound of her own voice. But I didn't see her again. But if you let people talk and ask them a question and be genuinely interested in them and try and find a common ground with them, then they'll build.
Because that's what happens on a really bad day, isn't it? When there's no conversation, is the rapport is just...
Well, it's the flip side. You're just always talking about yourself, right? But I'm straight up telling you, if you're still struggling for ideas for your Christmas list, if you know anybody who has troubles with this, get on Amazon right now. I'm not getting, there's no affiliation. If I get nothing for, I'm telling you, best investment you can make if you're struggling to understand the importance of listening and how to actively and practically put it in. That read will just completely change how you engage with people.
So that's Dale Carnegie's How to Make Friends and Influence People.
Okay. Like straight. That is worthwhile reading, and you consume it so quickly because you can't. And the thing is, when you're reading it, it hits home. You're like, how did I not do this before? This is so simple.
It's a really easy read.
You know what? I haven't read it. I don't struggle with rapport, but I think...
Do you know what was really good is I read it and I had a team building event after that, and there was a guy who was doing a team building. He worked for the... at what point earlier in his career, he'd worked for the Dale Carnegie Foundation. So literally when I was speaking to him, I read the book and I sort of met him like 2 weeks later. You know when them things just kind of happen? They feel like they've just fallen into place. It was just one of them. But yeah, I'm telling you, I mean, he does a whole series of them, but that one is probably the one for me, which I just found to be so...
you can always improve and get better at anything, so
self-development all the way.
I'm definitely going to read that. Okay. Alright, so I think that we've covered that point. I thought that was a good topic. I think rapport building is really important, so I do want to discuss it with you guys.
Yeah, it'll come up more and more, and we'll keep... But I think building on this and the listening and things like that, a lot of the stuff comes back round because a lot of the key points to development they're simplistic, and sometimes some of this stuff sounds repetitive, but the fundamentals are the fundamentals. Don't try to overthink what is quite simple in front of your eyes.
Yeah. Okay, and Ben.
Till next time, remember, life's only as good as your mindset.